Welcome, 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 welcome. My name is G. You're watching All Astrology, and this is for you, Taurus. We are going to talk about your May of 2023. It's another big month for Taurus energies. It's another big month for fixed energies. So what are fixed signs? Taurus and Scorpio. They run along the same line of energy. And that the cross that's fixed is Aquarius and Leo. So anytime anything happens in any of the fixed signs, all the fixed signs feel it, because fixed squares fixed creates a great cross. This would be the fixed great cross. Yeah. And so this video is not about that. This is basically going to cover your May, your month of May. We're talking about three main things. And as usual, I incorporate a whole bunch of other things in with that. So let's dive in. All right. So we are beginning the month off talking again about Mars, but not just Mars. We're also talking about Pluto. Right. We know Pluto is going into the sign of Aquarius. And in May, Pluto is already in the sign of Aquarius. Now, I have a whole series of videos out for your Aquarius energy. And if you've got something at the 0 degrees or 1 degrees, there's a video that talks just about the meaning of the degree. Whoa, I know it's deep, right? So I will link that below for you if you want to jump over to there. I would recommend that at some point in time after this video, or save it, go down below and hit watch later in your library, because it'll give you more depth and more meaning of understanding. Okay. So we also have an event that begins at the beginning of May, like May 5th, and it involves Pluto and Mars. Right. So I've done a lot of talking about Mars. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I have to stress that because you are Taurus energy and because Scorpio is at the opposite of you, if something happens in Scorpio, if there's a planet that comes along, it also dings you, right? Because this is forever connected. You can't separate yourself from your Scorpio energy. Taurus is forever connected to Scorpio energy because it's an energetic bond. It's just how you guys work. Just like Leo and Aquarius. It's an energetic bond. It's just how it works. Okay. There's an eclipse coming. Yeah. Another eclipse, because that's how eclipses work. That's why we say eclipse season is beginning season, meaning this isn't the only one. And so, right, the beginning of May, we have an eclipse. It's a lunar eclipse. And so we'll dissect each piece of it. It's a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, South Node. Each of those things means something. And so this is that part where I said we're going to talk about three things, but there's going to be more actually. So this is what I was talking about. We're talking about the eclipse, but there's so many things within the eclipse itself, just within lunar and South Node and Scorpio, right? And so understanding who rules Scorpio, Mars and Pluto, is why I started off talking about Mars and Pluto. So Taurus, Mars and Pluto energy, you can always fluctuate and operate there. Probably not even aware of it when you do it, but you do it. These are power moments where you have to like dig deep and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I can get through this. I don't know how I can do this. Like, that's Pluto. It goes to the very deepest parts of your being. And somehow, some way, you're able to make it out. You're able to dig deep and find a source of strength and power you didn't know you had, because that's Pluto. And then the Mars energy gives you that fight, gives you that don't give up, keep going at this. You can make this happen. You can work. It doesn't matter how sick or ill you feel. You tell yourself, let's just chill, and then we're going to bounce back. We need to just have a little downtime, and we're going to come back. We're going to regroup. We're going to recoup. We're going to be healed. Pluto. We're going to be healed. We're going to change. We're going to transform, and we're going to fly again. Pluto, Phoenix rising. So Taurus, you're a quite mystical sign depending upon how you function with your Taurus energies. Like, how do you express that in your life? How do you use your Taurus energies? And do you bend your fixed Taurus energy, your earth energy? Do you bend it, right? Or are you the traditional, very calm and peaceful? And are you the bull in the pasture who's happy to just sit there as long as it's got its food? It just doesn't want to be messed with. Don't poke it, right? Because it'll get mad, right? And I'm not saying this in a way where I'm making fun of you. Like, I'm a double Taurus. So I totally understand. Like, I've lived these, all of this. I get it. And there's times when we just want to be left the hell alone. We're like, okay, I got my place of peace. And like, I just want to keep it simple. And I just want to, like, I want quality, right? I want quality. I want good stuff. My food's going to be important. My creature comforts. Absolutely. Right. Taurus energy, peace and comfort, food, clothing, a good income, possibly the material world, possibly beauty, peace, right? That's Taurus energy. Earth, operating on a high level. It's not going to be just stubborn in the earth and not willing to budge, but it's going to be, I want to do what's best for the earth on a high level. I'm a minimalist, high level of Taurus energy. Okay. But because there's an eclipse, and it's a lunar eclipse, this is a lunar eclipse in your seventh house. Your seventh house, because this is a Taurus rising, Taurus ascendant video. And if you're watching because you're a Taurus birthday, that is absolutely fine. Stay right here with me. This is about your sun, because that's what your birthday is. It's your sun sign. You're a Taurus sun sign. So if you don't know anything more than that and you want to know, comment to me and I will help you out in any way that I can. Okay. Now, eclipse in Scorpio energy, beginning of the month, May 5th. What is Scorpio? We kind of talked about it, right? We know it's Mars energy. We know it's Pluto energy. So there's that fight. There's the irritation. There's the intensity. There's the assertiveness, possibly aggressive energy. How many people say, oh, wow, there's parts of you, sometimes you're really intense. It can penetrate energetically. And so a lot of times Scorpio energy is also associated, and Taurus, with sexual intimacy, even because Venus rules Taurus, and that's all about the five senses and sensualities, right? But we know Taurus at high level can operate beyond that, right? Yeah, we know that. So Scorpio is intimacy because it can dive deep, but not just physically intimate, but it can bond emotionally. So typically this being in your seventh house is people where you are emotionally bonded to. And these people and these emotional bonds, how do you get emotionally bonded to somebody? Just think about that, because you go through stuff together, right? You go through stuff together. You also may have soul memory with these people. Makes a lot of sense. There's vulnerabilities. These are people you're only going to open up to about the most private things in your life. And it's because these are your vulnerabilities. These are those wounds, those deep things from the past. And these people are probably aware. They might have been involved in that in some way, whether it was this time around or another time around. And when I say time around, it could have been a parallel time. I mean, everybody has a different opinion of what that is and how lifetimes work, and if there is such a thing. This isn't a discussion about that, but it's just saying I honor all that. And so we're just going to look at it that way, where there's memory, soul memory with other souls. And this is your seventh house. Now, Scorpio, being intense, being powerful, having Pluto as a ruler, is about purpose, and it's meaningful communications, but meaningful relationships. Seventh house, meaningful partnerships. People who have depth are going to be important to you. Like, you're not going to, they got to have depth. Just the bottom line. People who their life is going to be, things must be meaningful. There's a seriousness, but not serious as in Saturn, a serious, which is more about, I will show you the raw part of my being, the truth. I'm not going to hide anything, even though Scorpios really we talk about it like it's secretive. So some would say, if you have Scorpio in your seventh house, these are secretive people. And I like to say these are people who are deep and who don't wear their emotions on their sleeve. That's what I believe. And that's how my Scorpio energy works for me in my chart. Like, I don't wear it on my sleeve. Do my partners? They may not, because that's what we're talking about, your seventh house. Partners who may not wear their emotions on their sleeve. And so it may seem like they're hiding their emotions, or that there's a depth there that they are not even aware of. Yeah, I've come across that a lot. People who have history, there's a certain soul memory, and they themselves may not be aware of some of the trauma Scorpio, some of the trauma that they've experienced. And what happens is when they relate with people, with you, Taurus, when they relate with you, there's something about that relationship that can literally be healing for you and for them, because it will help bring up things that were buried, that were deep, that were hidden, that may have been embarrassing or whatever, vulnerabilities that we just don't talk about over breakfast with biscuits and tea. You know what I mean? So it's stuff that's like for the psychiatric room. And I don't mean like you need to be on meds. I mean, it's really personal, it's private, and it's intense, and it's stuff that some people literally hire a professional to manage. Okay. Psychotherapy. People do that with this kind of energy. So you may have partners or have met people, have been business partners with seventh house, where there's just a deep and a depth and an intensity and an authenticity at times, and then a rawness to their behaving. Because Scorpio, remember, it's Pluto, it shows us stuff that's hidden, but it doesn't always just happen. You know, it's when we go through an experience that it brings it up. It brings it up. So when you relate with certain people, you're probably experiencing that. Okay. You're probably experiencing that in those significant one-on-one relationships. Again, can be partnerships, can be marriage, but can be a business thing as well. Okay. Because it's Scorpio and it's an eclipse, it's a lunar eclipse. That means it's a completion. It means it's an ending. It's a closure. Like we're completing something. We're completing something. That's the lunar part, right? It's an eclipse. And it's a south node eclipse, and it's Scorpio, right? So the eclipse itself, it's emotional because it's the moon. It's the moon. So partnership, your partner may be going through something emotional. Are you releasing a partner, Scorpio or Taurus? I got a bird outside the window. Wow. What kind of bird was that? Okay, that's bizarre. It only chirped once. All right. I couldn't catch it, but yeah, I can't hear it. The heat just kicked on. So there may be a release that you're doing, and it doesn't have to be a particular partner, although it can be, but there can be the emotions, wounds from partnerships that you're releasing. You see, it can be both. Maybe getting rid of a partner is then also helping you to release those wounds, release the things that you've been through. And it's like, got to let that shit go. Like, I got to move on. I got to release it and let it go. Okay, so this is an actually very big eclipse because it's a lunar eclipse and it's in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio emphasizes release energy by itself because remember, Taurus is intake. It's what comes to me. It's magnetic. Scorpio is the opposite. It's like let go, release. It's the outtake, you see? So there's a lot of power here for healing. A lot of power here for healing. So hopefully, in 2022, you've been doing a lot of thinking and processing. And when this eclipse comes about, you'll be able to just release and it'll bring that healing about. Okay. Now, because it's a south node, the south node is also about the past. So you see, this whole year, 2022, has been a huge year of releases because it's been the south node of releasing the past. That's what the south node literally means in the sign of Scorpio. So it's huge. Now, if you have something exactly at the degrees of this eclipse, this has likely already begun for you. This eclipse is at 15 degrees. Yeah, 1458. So it's a 15-degree eclipse in Scorpio in your seventh house. Look to your Taurus energy, Taurus, and see if you have anything at 15 degrees in the sign of Taurus, because eclipses have the ability to trigger the point of the eclipse and the exact opposite of the eclipse. Okay, so that would be your first house and your seventh house. And again, if you had it at the exact degrees, 15 degrees, 14 degrees, and 58 minutes, this process has already begun for you. Okay. And if you're not sure or if you need more information, again, comment to me. I'll help you out. And however, the best that I can, I will help you. Okay. Now, for other people, maybe you have something a couple of degrees away, so you haven't felt it yet. And this would be true. Okay. So the orb for this eclipse will be like 2 degrees before and 2 degrees after. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. Yes, both signs are going to feel something because that's how eclipses always work. I know I don't always say that in videos, and there are times when I'm being guided to make sure I mention both, and times where it's not a thing. So I just don't. I try to keep it as simple as possible because it's already so freaking complex, and I know that. I completely get it. So that's a release and eclipse of feelings and emotions of the past, possibly partnerships, possibly wounds from a partnership. Okay. And so that's right at the beginning. We're moving right along to the middle of the month, and we're dealing with a Mercury retrograde. Mercury literally is going to stop its retrograde. It started in April. Go watch the retrograde video. It explains Mercury's movements. It gives you the degrees of the retrograde, and it tells you, like, don't do anything during this time because you still don't have all the facts. Don't sign any documents. Don't sign a contract, right? And so that's what you're dealing with. But it's in your sign, Taurus. Right. So you're really doing some serious thinking about finances, about values, who I value, what I value, money, banking, right? This could be assets. It can be fine art. It can be commodity, it can be like gold and silver. Like, that's all Taurus, earthy things, earthy resources, natural resources, a very big Taurus thing. Okay. Which would mean for anybody who's got Scorpio energy, they can obviously operate there too. So they might have like gold watches, you know what I mean? They like to look good, right? You might see that. So it's also self-worth. I keep hearing self-worth. And this is a big deal, because if there is I'll say it again, if there is a release in the 7th house, sometimes for some folks that could be a divorce. And if that's happening, there are, how do we divide the assets? So many times, if we do not value ourselves, we're like, oh God, I don't deserve that, or I'm not worthy of that, right? And so we go through that thing. Mercury's going to be contemplating and going over the books, because that's what Mercury does. It keeps track of stuff. It's like logging it down. It's like, okay, but I have 6 of these and 2 of these, and this was done on this date, and it's got the calendars. Like, that's Mercury. That's its job, is to keep track of stuff and then share that information out. But because it was going through a retrograde that began in April, and now midway through May, it's done with the retrograde, there will be a temptation to make a decision. It is my recommendation, because if this was me, which it is, I'm not going to sign a contract. I'm not going to spend any money. I'm not going to make a decision unless I have the professional help of somebody else, because Mercury's not out of its shadow zone yet. Mercury will not clear its shadow zone till the end of the month, May 31st. Okay. Now let's move along, and we're going to May 19th. May 19th, we have a new moon. This is a big new moon. The first few months of the year are a big deal. We have, those first 3 months of the year, those new moons and full moons set up the energy for the rest of the year, for the following 9 months. And so Mars was a big player in the month of April. It still has its hand here in May, because Mars was ruling the eclipse. Mars and Pluto were ruling the eclipse at the beginning of the month. But now here we are at the 19th, and we have a new moon in Taurus. You have a new moon in your sign, Taurus. So you see, Mars and Venus are constantly having back and forths this month. And it doesn't have to be like, like they're at the War of the Roses type of stuff. It doesn't have to be that way. And if you're going through that, I'm sad for you. Okay. But there's always going to be an ending that will change, right? This is just a process. It sucks while we're going through it. Do what you need to do to keep yourself, in a happy space for whenever you can, and reach out to whoever you need to reach out. And just know, asking for support during those kind of trying times is smart. It's a smart thing to do. And Taurus, new moon, is a new beginning in who I value. And so we're going to start with ourself. I am worthy. I am valuable. Okay. Some Tauruses need to hear this. Some Tauruses have had experiences where they've come in and they have such a strong history of sacrificing and giving up and doing what they were supposed to do, what family wanted, what was tradition. Like, so many people have done that. And guys, that shit's over. We are changing the way relationships work. We're changing the way they look. We are changing the way, like, tradition is, it's not the baby and the bathwater both being thrown out. It's saying we're taking what worked within that. We're taking the things that worked, or that worked for us, where we can see value in those things. And we're going forward with those tried and tested things that we find value in. But as far as what we're doing going forward, it's based on what is good for you. You nurture yourself. You love yourself. You are important. You count, Taurus. You count. And you are coming upon a really powerful time. Okay. Taurus, remember, rules the spoken word. And for most of Taurus's life, it is dormant. This is dormant. It's closed off. Its throat chakra can't talk. It can't share, right? Remember, on the lower level or on the basic level, it's the bull just sitting there happy because it's got food and it's comfortable. It's good with that. It doesn't want to mess with it, right? But what happens is over time, the energy must rise up, and we must rise above, that third chakra. We must rise above the first chakra and the second. We must get out of our own emotions, and it rises up. And as it does, we become more creative. And as we create, it expresses our values. It expresses how we think. It expresses how we feel. And Taurus, that is the goal, to be the creative beast that you are. Let your light shine, and you choose how you want to create. I'm not here to tell you, right? Tauruses usually have a beautiful voice, but not everybody has that gift, because there's a lot of different things that got to happen for it to be like on point all the time. But there's nothing wrong with having a little joy if you want to sing. I know I did a little of that in another video. And again, it was an astrology video. And I think I was singing for 3 seconds, maybe 5, maybe. Again, not looking for a career. I'm not asking you to vote for me to keep me in American Idol or whatever those shows. Like, it was just me having a joyful moment. And that's how I feel joy. Like, if I'm feeling good, like, you might hear me singing, like that's me. And for someone to tell me, don't do that, or you can't do that, it's like, hey, wait a minute. Come on now. Let's be real. You can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. Right? So it's just Taurus energy saying, I get it now. I understand. I am of value. I am worthy. I am important. I do count. Right. I do count. And it doesn't mean it's not about being selfish. Okay. It's just for the Tauruses who may have come in with all that unbelievable sacrificial energy, always doing for the partner. It was always up to the kids. It was always for them, And so Taurus has to wrap their mind around how am I still an asset to myself? Like, what am I good at? And so it's a time where if we don't have the answers to those things, it's not that there isn't anything there. There is. Just start playing around, start experimenting, start getting creative in any way that you want. So food is a big deal with Taurus. That's an easy one. Some people paint, some people sing. I already mentioned that. Some people do art, like with whatever medium you want. Some people are into music, not just singing, but with instruments. Like, there's a lot of different ways to be creative. Crafting, right? Like, there's textiles and clothing, makeup and beauty. I mean, these are really obvious Taurus keywords. Okay. Food. Yeah. I keep hearing it. Sweets. Don't forget to say the sweets, because Venus loves her sweets. Yes, that too. So a new beginning. And let me give you the degrees. And if I didn't tell you, this is on the 19th of May, and this is at 2825. I love this because this is a mature degree. The higher the degree, the more mature the energy is. So use that as a tip in your own chart if you have it. If you don't, what are you waiting for? Comment to me. I will help you out. 2825 is a mature degree. It's a new beginning. Values. Who do I value? What do I value? And it's about your future. What do I value for my future? What do I know I'm going to need going forward in my future? And it's part of the creature comforts. So the earth. So I think of the resources, the natural resources of the earth, the air, the water, the food, the animals. Like, these are big things that we're all talking about in one way or another. Do I eat meat? Do I not eat meat? Right? What's going on with the animals? Oh my God. Should I start growing my own food? Do I want to do farming? Like, homesteading. Like, there's just a lot of different ideas and different conversations that are being had. And quality is important to Taurus energy and creativity. Okay. So this is a new moon, and at 2825, it's a new beginning. And if you do ceremonies or write your wishes down or write your intentions down, which is what you do at new moons, that's at 10:53 a.m. on May 19th. Okay, Taurus. So remember, it's not till the end of the month with that Mercury thing, because it's in Taurus. So it's figuring out exactly what is my value, but not doing it until you have all the facts, not signing anything until you have all the information, until you know that all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, and you're confident. Okay. And so if you can't delay it to the end of the month, then you have people that you trust or someone that you have to hire to help you to make a decision in terms of signing a contract or going through details. Okay. That's Mercury details about the finances, going through the finances with a fine tooth comb, Mercury and Taurus energy, banking. Okay. So that wraps this up. I will see you in the next video. And if you need help, just remember, comment below. Bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.